So for this one, we're going to start out with a new reload from startup file and follow along. So we have this cube, and what we're going to do is shift duplicate it, right click, and then move it over here. Now we have two objects, okay? And if we highlight the two objects, you'll notice that when I highlight this one and when I highlight this one by holding shift, you'll have this in the center, and this is your pivot point. That pivot point is basically dictated by this. Here's your pivot point. So I could have my pivot point on 3D cursor, or I can have it on median point between two objects. Okay. So also notice that up here I have two objects. When I R on the keyboard, I can scale them together. When I can hit W, I can move them. But I always have to worry about what? Being able to hold shift. So what if I wanted these two objects to share components? Okay, we'll get into components in the next chapter, but for right now, components are the makeup of these things. So if you hold shift, you can highlight another object, and then you can go object, join. Okay. Now if you click on the object, you'll notice that there is the ability to highlight it and move it together. So over here, you can see that there's only one cube now, not two. Alright, now how do you separate them? Well, very easy. There's tab on the keyboard. Okay, so highlight it, hit tab. You'll notice that these little boxes or little points appear. You can see it much differently. If you just hit tab, you'll see the difference between this mode and that mode. Now also, if you are lost to which mode you are in, you can always look down here. So object mode allows you to highlight objects. Tab allows you to go into edit mode. So what I want to do is break these two apart. Well, if you highlight a simple point and hit L on the keyboard and go mesh, vertices, separate, selection. Notice the keyboard shortcut for that is P on the keyboard. Okay, let's join these two together again. Notice they are separate cubes. Again, hold shift, highlight them both, and join it. Okay, highlight, hit tab, highlight one little vertice, hit L. Also L is this, it is select. Alright, now that it's selected, hit P on the keyboard. You can go to selection. Now they are two separate cubes. Now you notice cube 1 and cube 2 both have the same pivot point. This one has a pivot point here, which is the normal status, but over here this one has a pivot point that's way over here. You can move this around and experience this for yourself. Just hit E on the keyboard and you can rotate it around. You'll notice that pivot point's kind of awkward. Control Z to undo. So in order to move the pivot point back, you would have to go to Object, Transform, Origin to Geometry. Now, if you hit W, you'll notice that the pivot point is right in the center again. This one pivot point is in the center of that one. So what you should do here now to practice this is create like maybe a sphere, put that on top of the box again, and join those two together. Okay, move it around, don't care where. Click on it, hit tab. Maybe you want the ball separate from the box now. Well, very easy. You can hit L on the keyboard, P on the keyboard, selection, then tab again. Okay, now the box and the ball are two separate entities, and you'll notice that the box's pivot point is quite off, so you can go to Object, Transform, Origin to Geometry. Practice that like 6 to 10 times before you go on. That way it kind of reinforces it, and you'll be able to do it without thinking. I think that's the main thing that you want to focus on, is the ability to do something without thinking about doing it. That way you're relaxed and you can let creativity happen. Let's go on to the next video.